Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Pro632 Radio. We are live today with Beattie Jr. And let's start it off. JC, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Beattie Jr. With ATI Performance Products. This is our 65th anniversary this year, and just plugging away and keep trying to make good parts.
You got to have something more than that,
right?
Give us some background of you.
Give us some drag racing background.
I thought that was just a short intro right there. Okay, so let's see. I mean, I grew up there. My dad started the company in '61, so I've kind of been there since I was born. Went to college, came back in '03. Been there ever since. And when I got there, we had 35 people and 30,000 square feet. Now we hover around 75 people and 100,000 square feet. Got 36 CNC machines with half a dozen robot loaders and brand new 5-axis for making stators and other cool parts. And I've got 4-axis Makinos and 4-axis Haas and a bunch of Doosan 3-axis lathes. So we really pride ourselves on making as much as we can in-house. Buying American-made material, American-made forgings, everywhere we can do it, that's what we do. And start to finish, we make it all. So we can, if we have a problem with a part or an issue, we can come right back to ourselves and find it. But I grew up, we started go-kart racing when I was 12, and I didn't start any racing until then. And we did that for a while. We won 4 national championships in the WKA go-kart series and 36, 37 national events along the way. My dad built the motors. We had a dyno, about like you get with every other form of racing, just like I'm doing now with my son with the junior dragsters. Except, me not starting till 12, I started running James before he was 5. So he's already got, 7 extra years experience on us. So we have a lot of fun with the juniors, and it's pretty cool. We just made a junior dragster damper actually for that stuff that's working really well. But after the go-kart racing, I went to a spec chassis truck series called the Parts Pro Truck Series. I ran that for a couple years, which was some road races, some ovals. And then I ran another circle track series called the ASA, American Speed Association, which was a feeder series for ARCA and then Busch at the time. Did that for 4 years, which is kind of hard to run out of Baltimore. There's not much racing around. And took a break after that for a couple years, and we bought a '69 Camaro that quickly went from a street car to a race car and really worked on a lot of our products. And then '09, I got a drag pack Challenger, started racing that in NHRA stock. Still have that. Haven't ran it for a couple seasons, but it's a good bracket car, a good stocker. And then we were supplying GM with all the transmissions, converters, flex plates, dampers, and I was able to get one of the first 4 Copos that rolled off the assembly line. It's Copo number 8, but it's the first 4 delivered. And that car has ran NHRA super stock, one class at Indy with it, never won Indy. I was never that good at bracket racing. Not great at the other racing either, but the car is a legitimate Copo that we've slowly kind of transitioned, and now it's getting a turbocharger and 2,000 horsepower to run in Super Street with PDRA next year. It's been radial racing. It's done a little bit of everything. And then, of course, the 632 car. I've got a couple of them. And when I first looked at that class, it was a mid 430s class. And it's not anymore. It was a long time to get there. And that's where we're at.
Now, JC, you spoke about some of the equipment you guys have in the shop and obviously some of the capabilities. Are you guys strictly a production shop, or do you take on some R&D projects for any of the big 3 or some of the major race teams?
So we supply the big 3 for their race teams directly, and then I guess we would be like a tier 3 supplier, if you will. So we don't supply Chevy, Ford, Mopar direct unless it's a race car project or some of their road race projects and things like that. And then of course the crate motors, those guys, some are assembled by GM, some are assembled by other places, and we supply them with a lot of dampers. So the NASCAR guys, we have 100% of the NASCAR field, and we work closely with all of them, whether it's making hubs and outer shells and specific parts and pieces. Everybody, kind of has a little bit different package if they have the trigger on the front of the engine or it's inside. And that those are fun projects. We really don't have the capacity, extra people or hands to just take on random outside work. Although sometimes we'll feed a little bit through the shop. It's kind of fun to do something different every now. We just a guy I know needed a jig to hold ping pong balls to run through his printer, and I'm like, that looks like something different and fun. So we made that, and every now and then we do that. But besides the dampers, which are a really high volume part, there's 30,000 dampers a year, and each damper's got 4 parts at least. Then there's all the transmission parts and pieces and the cases. We machine all 3 cases, the Glide, the 350, the 400. We machine all those in-house. They're all cast in America, and we do all the work on them. And then the torque converter parts and pieces. And so we've got 2 or 3 engineers. We've got a quality control guy. So when we need to do something new or a different part, we can usually do it. Sometimes it's not a good idea, but we do it anyway.
Now, you spoke a little bit about dampeners and shells and things of that nature. I know you guys build a variety of stuff. Now, let's say in an application like 632, because that's what we're here to talk about, can you get away with an aluminum hub, aluminum shell? Is there some benefits horsepower-wise to the weight reduction, or is it purely just reducing the overall weight?
So on my personal engine, I have a 7-inch 3-ring damper with a full weight inertia, which is the heaviest one we make. I've back-to-back damper testing. Let's go back to my stocker. It's a 6.1 Hemi, makes 700 horsepower. A NASCAR guy, Mark Eisler, built it, and it came with a little 5-inch damper, and I knew that wasn't enough. And at the end of the day, I ended up with a 7-inch diameter 2-ring damper that was about 3 pounds heavier, and it yielded 8 horsepower peak and 6 horsepower average better. 9 times out of 10, a little heavier damper will make more power. These real big engines that have little tiny dampers on them, they're just kind of hanging out in the breeze, doing a little bit, but not as much as they could. So we do run an aluminum hub, aluminum shell. I have a modular trigger design we came up with a few years ago that you can have the shell assembly on there, and then I've got any trigger you want to bolt on, whether it's 4 teeth or 36 teeth or big stuff or holly or whatever you need. So, and that's what we run. I think 24-1 steel pickup for our holly.
Okay, that's a lot of information on the hubs. Go back to you talking about earlier about coming into 632. Mm-hmm. I remember when you first showed up and little James is on a 4-wheeler, and I'm like, look at this little guy, right? And he's always, I've always paid attention to him just because, I mean, he's out of this world, that kid. And the one time you were pushing and the car's going along, I look over and I don't see anybody in the car. I'm like, how's this guy getting to this car? We haven't even talked at that point, me and you. Yeah. And this little squirt gets out, and he's like a miniature adult, and he's high-fiving and elbow rubbing. And I think I ran you that round, and he come over and he was like, "Good luck, dude." And I was like, "Dude,
right?
Where did this kid come from?"
Sounds right. He did his his licensing runs in his junior dragster at Mason-Dixon. He was not quite 5 years old yet, and we had been practicing at the shop and running it out back and doing everything else. He was like, this tall. Yeah. People are looking like, what's going on here? And the thing, it was, you had to go 20 seconds or slower, and it's like his 4-wheeler was twice as fast as that. It was really rough, but he's got it figured out. He's a great bracket racer now. He knows, he knows it all. He knows the starting line, he knows the finish line. The bracket racing for these kids makes them really good at math when they're doing decimals. So he knows all his tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. And as long as I can give him a decent car, and he does really well. We've won 3 PDRA races with him in top junior championship last year in 24. This is 5, yeah. So last year 4, and then he won a Rockingham race this year, which was a big race that we went to right around Thanksgiving. But he's he's on it. When I can keep him focused, he'll help us do whatever we need at the racetrack he can do. He packs parachutes. He can do the tire pressure. He'll help me lash and change spark plugs when we need it. And one of the guys that comes to the track with us, Scott, keeps him busy sometimes, or kicks him out to get him out of the way. So, but we have a lot of fun at the track. I've got a daughter that's into a lower horsepower racing. She does a lot of horseback stuff. So during this time of year, I'm just a truck driver to bring the horse and the trailer to these events, and her and her mom do her thing, and I just kind of pretend I know what's going on.
Gotcha. I got sidetracked. My little 4-year-old African gray was going crazy and spilled water all over the kitchen. So yeah, he's 15 on 4. You kind of understand that, right, Jason?
Yeah.
He just took the dog's water bowl and whipped it across the living room.
That's still fun age. But.
Yeah. Well, at least yours gets older. Mine never will. He'll always be that way. Now you took a little break from 632 and you came back out with a pretty stout piece this year. Shocked a lot of us because we were used to that the NA car, NA that you had there.
It gets a lot easier when you give it some nitrous. Jesus.
We tried to tell you that. You weren't listening.
We were trying, and it took a while. But, we started in 23 with the car we're running now. And I'd bought a motor that was ran in that class that went pretty fast, but it was never that fast in real life. So we struggled with that. It was also steel blocks. It was hard to get any weight off the nose, try to get down to 2250 and have the balance of the car right. So we tried, and I bet we tried 5 rear gears, 5 different low gears. I can't even tell you how many converters we, Scott that comes to track with us, him and I could do a converter swap in 25 minutes maybe, and sometimes that included taking the converter apart and just bending blades with a freaking pair of pliers if we just to try something, and didn't matter, always just went the same. So it's we tried that, so we switched that whole program over to the white car that we have, which is a really good car that Rini used to own. It's still a great car. Because it's a little bit lighter, and then that gave us the time to try and get the nitrous car ready. We got we got jerked around a little bit on a motor and tried to get it ready for the nitrous car, and that didn't work. So I ordered a motor, and that took 17 months from time we ordered it to get it. So I'm glad it runs fast. Otherwise, I've been pretty pissed off. But
I know your feelings on the length of time to get a new engine built. When I blew mine up last December, I still don't have one in the car. So hopefully we have one soon. So
you got 6 more months before we get there. So that's I got a hold of Brad at rear, and it took a while, but I guess if you're going to do something right, that's just how it works out. And it was we put it in the car for the first time. We did a few shots on the hub dyno that we have, just to make sure everything was happy. We went to a different hub dyno that runs a little different than ours, and gave it nitrous and did what we needed to, and then went out to, you guys were heading to Michigan, and I went to test at MIR, and it was like 125 water grains and 93 degrees, and the first full run was a 423. So it's it was exciting. James is like, let's go load it up. Let's go to Michigan. I'm like, we don't even have more than 2 bottles. I'm going to tell you, we can't do that. So we just kind of kept working on to get our stuff together and continue to work on it. And that's an ex Ricky Smith car, which is, that guy takes care of his stuff really well. It's a beautiful car, well maintained, and we've just tried to make it better along the way. And I think hopefully I have a little bit more for it next year. We'll see. As long as I stop doing stupid stuff next to you.
Chris said he'll take the car back, but your son said, I second that, Chris.
Right, there he is. Yeah. A lot of people try to get that car. I ran it in Top Sportsman, and I did pretty damn good in Top Sportsman. I was very surprised at myself letting go of a button and trying to bracket race. So, but that was, along the way, that was another NA motor that I had built from scratch. That took over a year with a couple different people to try and get it together, and it never ran any better than the amount of weight difference from the other motor. So it was the block was 90 pounds lighter, so that's all the better it ever went. The rules are just they're tough for NA versus the nitrous combination to try to. You can't really get light enough and go fast enough with the NA combo to really get there for the nitrous stuff. As far as
Porcino was the only one that was successful at that.
Yeah, and that was how I only know what the rules were back then for weights and nitrous and 5 speeds and everything else. But I guess last year to this year is the first time in a while. It's been 2 years of the same, pretty much, minus the 50 pounds.
Yep.
Without a lot of changes. So it'll be interesting to see what everybody got done over the winter. What kind of gains were made with just the 50 pounds off. So it's kind of nice, and I really hope we get some. I know there's some new guys coming. I've done a transmission for a couple of them, and then
a couple of new guys that are coming.
Yeah, just a couple of guys that are in the chat. We talk about transmissions and building some stuff. Yeah, in our WhatsApp.
Every year we go through this thing where I'm coming, and then you're like, you're cheerleading the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Troy earlier today, and I think we came up like out of the 8 cars that are supposed to be coming, like it's like there's 5 or 6 that are actually like they're committed to come.
Right.
Which is good. We never had that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a lot, man. I mean, it's a lot of hours. I've got a full-time guy in the shop, Todd, who's amazing with everything he does, and Scott comes and helps us in between his real job, and puts in a lot of hours, and he does a lot of wiring and everything else. And when it gets closer to race time, I'll mosey down there and help with whatever I can to get everything in the trailer and get it going. And this year we're finally, talk about lead times. I've been 2 years waiting on a trailer, so I've got. Finally got a new trailer we'll be picking up in a few weeks. And last year we had sold my trailer, and I borrowed a trailer because we were going to have one done. And I moved in and out of it the first 3 races to give it back to the guy, which, that's a lot of fun. Then I finally just bought another regular stacker to drag around for the rest of the year. So it'll be a little easier this year being moved into one location.
Yeah, for sure. So you spoke a little bit ago about a couple of things that tie together with the change in the rules for the weight reduction, and also some of the transmission shop capabilities that you guys have. Let's talk for a second about lightweight internals in the Turbo 400 platform. In a 632 single 36 jet application, how much weight can you extract out of some of the rotating components and go to some lighter stuff? And then what does that equate to in, gains?
When we were doing the factory shootout stuff for NHRA, right? Those guys are 1,400 horsepower with, a supercharger, which is not as much as we make, but then they've got a smaller tire, about the same gear. However, they're 900 pounds heavier. So
okay.
we worked on those to figure out where we could get to on internals that wouldn't break in size and capacity and line pressure, how much line pressure you actually needed to hold in all the different gear ratios. So we found there that just going from your standard size drums, your OEM size Turbo 400, all aluminum drums, to the small size drums, it was nearly a tenth in the quarter mile. So we're looking at 5 numbers or so in the eighth, just with that change right there. Everything, all the functions still the same. We're small drums, and then you can kind of everybody's stuff's a little bit different. When you start taking line pressure out of them, they're a little slower on the trans brake. They might not hold as good. The shifts aren't as crisp, and it just depends how much maintenance you want to do. I don't even want to take my transmission out of between every race if I don't have to, let alone if you don't have a transmission shop. So it's a balancing act of longevity and how many runs you want to go versus where you want to be on the edge. But you can run all the aluminum parts. I run all small shafts. I've got the regular 1-inch input, 1-inch main. It's our Vasco material. Chris for Carson's car runs a 1-inch main with a big input, just so because he already had converters with big input size in them, so it was easier to work it out that way. Yeah, but as far as internals and then you also go to the cooler pressure dumps, or the internal dump, and what you want to do there, because to try and get away with a tighter converter and then dump it down low so you don't knock the tire off and you can get some wheel speed and then bring it back in. They're all just, you can go faster, but they're all tuning aids. That really, going A to B is half the battle, and then doing it fast is the rest of it. So
So
you can get away.
if you scale down the drum and some of the shafts, and is there any gun drilled shafts or anything like that you can maintain some strength and reduce some weight? And what total weight do you think you could get out of a trans?
So the rotating weight versus just the static weight, for me and for everybody, rotating weight's really important when it's leaving from zero, like the transmission. The damper, not so much. The converter, the flex plate, not as big a deal. We're leaving from 4,500 RPM, so it's already up there and going. The drums being small is really as light as you can get. You still have to have steel for the sprag areas. Then the shafts being 1-inch, can't get a hole in them, and if you can, there's already a hole for some lube. The output shaft is gun drilled, but we're talking ounces. I mean, it does take ounces to get to pounds, so we do look at all that. And then but aside from that, that's it. We've got the output shaft, the intermediate main shaft, the input shaft, and the small drums. You can coat whatever you want. I can't really say it's better or worse over a rim finish, making them shiny. Most of the coatings just come off anyway. So I've tried all that stuff. The pump gear being coated, all of our pump gears and all the pumps we sell, the super pump, we've got calico coated gears and anti-wear plates, and the stuff is just so slippery. Every little bit there helps. So, then after all that's left after that's the fluid. We've got 0 through 50 weight fluid, and everybody can run a little bit different combination. You can run 0 weight in these cars without a problem, but it's not a dry sump, in the transmission, but there's still, the parts aren't really spinning through any static fluid inside of there. The fluid's down in the pan. Yes, there's some mist. So the thinner fluid, as long as you can maintain line pressure, because you lose a little bit, and as long as the converter does not get too loose, then you're okay with the thinner fluids. But the fluid's really another tuning aid, just like the cooler pressure, the internal external dumps.
So that
Hey,
being
we had
said,
a question from Troy in regards to your opinion on sprag versus spragless.
Spragless is fine for 1/8 mile stuff. It's a 1/4 mile. I definitely like to have a sprag so that it's free to rotate. The stator's held still while you're multiplying torque, and I don't really know where it starts to move. Let's say somewhere around the 330, it's going to try to start spinning some. Sprags are good. I run a diode in mine, just about everybody else, especially with the bolt together. Because it's just, the diode's a pretty expensive part. It's over $300 part, so you can have your stators and everything sitting there instead of having $1,500 of diodes. You got one and maybe a spare, and you just drop it in if you're changing stators. So the spragless is really good for like the dragsters, the .90 guys that launch and jump right off it, and then the throttle stop comes back in, because then you're hitting the sprag twice, so it's easier to break it. Also, with those bigger tires and dragsters, and they snatch the tires on the burnout, it's hard. And I mean, quite frankly, a lot of people that don't use a quality sprag, we make our inner and outer races and everything else, and we know how to make them. There's a lot of shit that comes over from overseas that's like okay, but it's not perfect, and you're hurting sprags and doing different things. The tolerance on the sprags, like plus or minus 0.2 on your ground finish for inside the inner and outer race. So a lot of people have a bad taste about sprags because they break, but they don't really break if they're made correctly and you take care of them. But to answer his question, I run a diode. I absolutely, I like that better, but you can certainly get away with a spragless. I don't think it slows you down or picks you up.
So JC, going back to what we were talking about on fluid weight, would it be true to say that you could split a stator before making a change with fluid weight to try to get somewhere maybe in the middle or closer if you wanted to make a tuning change with just fluid alone?
Yeah, absolutely. I from 0 to the 30 weight, you can't really dump the 50 weight in. It's like if I dumped all the fluid out and dumped 50 weight straight in, the car would shut off when I put it in gear. That's how much tighter it is.
Okay.
But if you're going to go from 30 weight to 10 weight, you're going to see a couple hundred RPM in flash for sure. 0 weight to the 30 weight, you could see 300, and then that's magnified with your cooler pressure dump as well from there. So it's
So would that change?
it's a tuning aid.
Would that change be linear if you saw it on the flash? Would that kind of carry all the way through when you're changing the trans fluid weight?
It will still usually couple just as well up high, because by then everything's had time to catch up. When you're shocking it off the line, let go of the button with the flash, it's going through this thin fluid. It instead of 7,000, it goes to 72, 7,300, but then it rolls over and the drive shaft starts to catch up. So no, it doesn't gain more percentage of slip at the top end. You're going to see a little, if you go from 0 to 30 weight, you're going to see a little bit, but it's not going to be the same amount.
Now you have your own brand of oil, right? That you use and sell. Okay.
It's my father hated synthetic fluid. He always did. The only fluid we were ever allowed to use was Type F. As long as it was he didn't care if it was Walmart Type F. We liked Castrol the best. And finally I'm like, and I really think a synthetic fluid's better on a lot of levels than your regular petroleum fluid, which we all know it is. I'm like, what if I can get a Type F and a synthetic fluid? And I got hooked up with Gibbs at the time, and Lake was there, Lake Speed Jr. And then they blended it for me, and the chemist there, he called. He's like, "You really want 1968 technology with my best synthetic fluid?" I'm like, "Exactly what I want." So they blended it, and we took it out. I had it in the stocker in the drag pack. It was just Dad and I tested an MIR, and ABA, it was 300s faster dumping the synthetic fluid in over the regular fluid, just because of this viscosity. The fluid we had made was 20, and all of your petroleum fluids a 30 weight. So from there, I was allowed to start doing that, and here we are 12, 13 years later, and the fluid is still Maxima blends it for us now, so we don't cut any corners on it. It's the best synthetic base we can get with the Type F friction modifiers and the other couple things to make it work.
Just from a physics standpoint, is there a difference in the way the transmission reacts between a synthetic and a petroleum-based fluid, weight for weight?
There's, weight for weight, no. 30 weight petroleum, 30 weight synthetic, they'll act the same and flash the same wood. But the conventional oil won't shed the heat. It'll try to shear and break down way quicker than synthetic. So first 2 runs probably the same, and then you kind of lose that similarity as the 30 weight petroleum gets chopped up.
Yep. So if you're running rounds, synthetic is the way to go because it'll maintain that viscosity throughout the race versus if you're going back to back with bracket racing. Like they do, everything's hot, you'll lose the numbers quicker.
Yes, exactly. And the synthetic also, just like synthetic engine oils, would sheds the heat and gets back to temperature a little better.
I lost my train of thought as I just made a mistake there, as you all seen.
So that being said, on the trans fluid in an application like a 632 PDRA car, how many runs would you say you would put on your fluid before you start to see it fade, lose some of that shear?
So we run 10 and 20 weight depending on how the converter's acting and what's going on, and I'll run it for 2 races. if we change a converter, you're always adding a little more. So sometimes if we made a couple converter changes, then you've kind of changed half the fluid anyway. And then having one of the external coolers to help suck the heat back out of between rounds always helps. But a couple races, I mean, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty cheap maintenance and reassurance between races.
I know some people that just don't change transmission fluid.
Some.
When I was first running it and developing it in the stocker, I ran it all year. I never did anything but strain it and top it back off, just to see how it was going to work. And that's 904 with bands and aluminum parts, so it was really crappy stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it
do you do any like oil testing on it to see if it's breaking down? No, just out of curiosity.
Get rid of it. Put some something and call it a day.
My guy at Amsoil, everything's like, take a cup out and we're going to send it out and just see how long it's, how it's doing. And I'm like, obviously he's my sponsor, so I got to do it. But it's like, it's like, it's just not that easy. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, that's Lake has a company like that. I wish I could think of the name, Speed Diagnostics, something like that, where you can break your engine in and run the first race and send a sample, and then run a couple more races and send a sample, and they'll tell you how much stuff is missing or how much stuff from the engine is in it. So
we use a company called Oil Analysis, and they basically make a library of that serial number that you give them, and they keep track. And you go online and you can look how, all the results within. If you mail it out, you'll probably have results in like 4 days. By the time you mail it out and they get it, and they send you the little packet and the little package to put it in with a UPS.
We look at so much stuff. I mean, it's another level of something to look at, like having all the data on the car.
Yeah,
that's just another way to get it.
Earlier you were speaking about the aftermarket cases that you guys produce in-house, being the Turbo 350, the 400, and the Power Glide. Do you ever think at some point we'll ever get to see an OEM trans with more than 3 forward gears in it be able to compete at, like, say, the PDRA level?
Did Rini put you up to that question? Because that's all.
No, I read the rules with all this OEM talk, and I just think to myself, well, why are we pigeonholed in the monkey see, monkey do? Of all these 3 things that we conventionally always see across the board. So at what point could we venture off into, I don't know, I see these 10-speed Fords and all these other stuff that just looks up to date, trick, like how the LS revolutionized the engine side to what a conventional small block was. Is there some of this newer trans technology that may revolutionize the racing side to the transmission world?
I mean, so the next up from the 400s, the 4L80E, and it incorporates overdrive, right? So which we don't want, we can't have. From basically the direct drum to the back for the output shaft is all a turbo 400, and then the next 6 inches is all just for lockup and overdrive. And I've looked at a lot of different ways to do that. Can it be done? I'm sure it can. I am not smart enough to figure out the valve body and make that work. To do it, these later model transmissions, there's no bands, there's no sprags, so they're not forgiving if anything changes. They're just being clutch to clutch to clutch with pre-fill and post-fill, which is why when you hear these late model cars shift, they just kind of go pop, pop, pop. And it's just, there's so much computer and in there that it has to pull power, and it says, hey, we're in 3rd gear, we're wide open. I'm guessing we're going to go to 4th gear. It starts to pre-fill 4th gear. The computer says, all right, he just shifted. It goes from 20 degrees of timing to 0. During the shift, it goes to -20. As the shift completes, it goes back to 0. When the shift's completed, it goes back to 20 degrees of timing. And it does that for every single one. So that's why if you take apart a late model transmission, it's got 8 solenoids and then 2 more for other stuff. If you change one of those solenoids, it's like a fuel injector, right? You have a match set.
Yeah.
The computer has to relearn that, just like when you rebuild the transmission and you've changed the clutch stack clearances, you changed it 20 or 30 thousandths, it's got to know for that pre-fill and then post-fill when it lets go. So, if you took a late model transmission, the next problem is all of your upper gears are overdrives. So you've got like the 10-speed's got a 472 or something first gear. So really we would need to leave in like a special ratio third gear and then figure out how to have enough shifts to not get into overdrive. You'd really have to start from scratch as far as I've thought about it. I'm sure everybody else has thought about it a little bit. I do have a product we've been working on. It's been out there, and it's a high horsepower overdrive unit that you can shift into overdrive at 3,500 horsepower wide open. We've been working on that for a couple years now. We did the first version of it and it worked, and we broke an input shaft and we fixed that. Then it broke an output shaft and we fixed that. But it's running in 3,500 horsepower Vipers that are 4,000 pounds that go 250 miles an hour in that like flying half mile stuff. Yeah. And then they drive it to Texas Roadhouse for dinner. So that's definitely something that could function, and then you would, to make it not overdrive, you would run it and it would be first gear, second gear, fire the overdrive, then go to high gear. But it's 50 pounds. It adds length. Is it possible? Yes. Is it very close for me? No. I'd like to say I could figure it out, but I failed physics in college. I dropped out of engineering. It was too hard. Business management with a small business management degree. And if I got to make something, I can sketch it. And yeah, I've got some guys at the shop that are pretty awesome. Our shop foreman's been with us since he was 18. And if I need something made, I can tell Harry what it needs to be, and usually just send an email or a text and he can whip it out. And then if we need something really cool, like some weird stators or things like that, then the engineers draw it and our computer programmer will program it, and then the 5-axis machine will make it.
Good deal. Now, on the flip side of that, is there capabilities in the Turbo 350 platform to withstand behind a 632 in our application that we race at PDRA?
Right now, there's not. We've got the case, so we can do the line pressure. You still need to work on a few of the other parts. Nobody makes the back side of the pump. Your second gear shifting is in the back side of the pump with everything there instead of the intermediate section. Cone makes a lot of gear ratios for that, just like they do the 400, but they're not made for any strength. I've got a friend and customer, James Goad in the Reaper, and he's got a 350 that I don't know how it's still alive, but it's in a street car behind 1,400 horsepower with twin turbo, and it's got 5 years of driving on it, and it hasn't broke. It's on its way back to the shop. Yes, I think we could get one to work. Are all the parts available right now? No.
That being said, is there something to be had there? Is that a freer reciprocating transmission than a 400?
Yeah, it's a better shifting and less parasitic loss transmission than the 400 for sure.
You said something about better shifting. I remember when Craig Liberty was on with us a few weeks ago, he talked about his transmission, the way just by design is always in gear. That seems to not necessarily be true when the OEM automatic is making a gear change. It's for a split second out of gear. How much do you think that affects on-track performance when all that's going on?
Yeah, like he said, I don't know a lot about the Liberty, but yeah, if it's always in gear, it's always moving. You put a 3-speed Liberty next to a 3-speed automatic with a torque converter at the same weight. I don't know, in the same gear ratio, I think they kind of run about the same. When you do 4 speeds, then you got the tuning window, then it gets a little different. But you probably know better than I do on that. If you did do all the ratios and everything the same in the 400 and had a converter drive, you're going to be heavier with the Liberty and the converter drive a little bit. Easier to work on than having a specialized transmission builder like for a 400, but I think they run pretty much identical.
She actually learned this year. I forgot where we're at, and she ET'd really good And then she ET'd shitty. They were in Virginia. She said, no, car's faster with a 3-speed Liberty in it than it's a 4-speed. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, no, it's just the way it is. She was
well, that's also within our rule package as well. So, I mean, there's some different weight tiers based on that trans change.
Definitely on that. It's, obviously you're done at 3 speeds or 2 speeds with the automatic. So you don't have another option right now for 4 and 5 speeds, and you got to take the weight penalty with it. I mean, we look at what Melnick ran and what the rest of us ran. It's pretty close. It's not.
I agree with you.
Which is why we didn't have a big rule change after 5,000 WhatsApp messages about all that shit. We did good, and then another 1,000 after a 50-pound change, and
right
here we are.
Sky's falling. The sky's falling.
Miserable.
Yeah, and one person who can't get all the 100 out of the car is Patrick, and he was good with it. He's like, I'll race it. I don't care.
Yeah,
no matter what, race it.
Hey, I'm using my feet, so it's okay.
I thought it was pretty good. I was happy not to see a lot of changes since we only had. We really didn't have a lot of runs on our car this year. Between some stupid relay stuff happening, some people, me forgetting to turn the nitrous on, steering wheel falling off, things like that.
Steering wheel falling off.
Yeah, I was coming for you, but
you were one way or the other.
I've got I think 37 runs we counted total on the car. So we've got a lot to learn still, try and figure it out. And our tuner's pretty smart with that stuff and really cool. And sometimes I think he makes us change stators just so he can laugh at us working. But
So you have an offsite tuner, right? Correct?
Yeah. He doesn't come to the track much. He's come testing with us, things like that. His name's Dave Hamlin. He does really good. So he's super sharp. He tunes like the Candyman blower car that's been running Pro Mod now, and Weddle, who obviously ran with us for a while now. He's doing LDR. They won the Snowbirds, and then a whole bunch of turbo guys and other guys. And we've got he's going to be tuning the Copo, which is coming back out with a turbo, and I've never had one of those.
So you're going to race 2 classes this year coming up.
You're going to try. Okay. Yeah, we'll see how it works. That's what we did for the first year and a half. I had the junior and the Copo and the 632 car at every race. It kind of makes the day go by.
That's a very long day with us running the 2 cars out of ours, the Mount Motor car and mine. Mine was just hey, go race it, do a little bit. The Mount Motor car is a lot of work. So with 3 cars, I can just imagine the amount of work that's going on in the.
The junior is a fair amount of work as well, especially when you're really, really trying to do it. It's tough. We've got a guy that runs with us, Richard Tillman. He helps me a ton with the junior, and he does some of our starting line stuff as well. And then I saw that comment. We then Scott and I handle a lot of stuff. If we do get both cars going and it gets later rounds, it'll be tough. I'll probably be asking for some help, but we'll see. And then James is up in 790 this year for Pro Junior, so we're looking forward to that. He's looking forward to a Pro Tree and going like we go. So
good. That kid is great. He's there's 2 that take my attention away from racing. One is your son, and the other one is Victoria Beener. I watch them too, and just the 2 of them are amazing. You know what I mean? She's probably going to be a little bit less junior dragster now and more the roundy round stuff. Just because it's
get a lot more seat time with that roundy round stuff than you do our class.
And her dad just got her a Legend.
Mm-hmm. I talked to him the other day. I drove a Legend. I went to UNC Charlotte for college, and we had a motorsports engineering program with a Legends car. And it's a lot of fun with that little car with sequential transmission, 1400cc motor. They're a blast. So.
Well, I actually owned one. I bought it from the company I worked at, and it was the Miller Genuine Draft one. Sorry, Miller Light one. And I had to put a plate on it and working headlights and directionals, and got myself in a lot of trouble. As a young kid.
Legal in Florida. Should be good.
This was Massachusetts.
Oh, definitely no good there. Yeah,
No good there.
not at all.
You get away with anything in Florida. You just ask for, you just do it and ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah.
As a no. You guys got anything else for JC?
I got
got
one.
Go ahead, Patrick.
What's your expectation for 2026?
Well, hopefully we can make every race, which will be the first time for doing that. And I'm the hardest on myself because I'm not great on the tree, and we keep trying and changing a few things, and I kick myself in the ass. I'm more worried about that than anything. Is really just trying to tune up the starting line on my end. The motors down at rear, getting a few things done. We think there's a little bit there, and now we kind of have a decent routine now with getting back from the race and checking everything, pulling the springs, and just knowing what to do. I mean, the first race at Bristol, I didn't pull a valve cover off till we broke a valve spring, and Brad's like, you need to be checking this shit every pass. I'm like, I don't know, I'm sorry. All right, we'll check it. So and there's 2 broken valve springs. So but now we just know what's going on. So I'm a little more excited for that. I obviously the car is right there in the top handful, and which is good. I would love to see the whole class be within a 10th or something. That's, to me, it's exciting that way when there's no gimmies.
No, it once they went to the pick jet, it tightened right up, and it was just like, I woke up the next morning like, this ain't fun no more. You know what I mean? I'm like, we're on top of each other. This is nerve wracking, And of course, Matt Buckley's, always laid back. Don't worry about it. It's nothing but a race. You know what I mean?
Like just running and watching like Carson run he's got a delay box so he doesn't go friggin' red, and I'm pushing the tree all I can, and he's got to do good, otherwise his mom will kick his ass. So
yes, you will. You need to get one of those Swanstrom trans brake buttons there for $153.
I mean,
you didn't see it online?
Sounds pretty cheap for the shit we do, Jason. But I mean, I've got the Biondo 00 button, and I've got it pushed so far. I'm like, God, I hope it holds. I hope it holds. And it holds. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm still 40. Great. But
who was the other one that posted that trans brake button up?
Steve Kirk Jr.
Who was it?
Steve Kirk Jr.
He did.
He's got a really good button. And
Travis Harvey.
To check them out.
Man, they're talking trash about your reaction time. Hey, quick question: did you have any work with that 8-second C8?
No. There might be a damper on it, but I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. It's all over the internet right now with this thing.
Yeah,
so
I saw it go. The transmission wise, I just got like a ZR1, a 2019 ZR1 transmission in, things like that. We do them, but we do a lot of 8 and 10 speed stuff. But those guys, we got nothing but a damper for them at this point.
Oh, okay. That's all I got.
That now there's this year when you came out, obviously you're testing some product in your own race car, which is great. I understand that you got a pretty hot rod converter. Is that stuff ongoing in development, stuff that can be purchased through you?
Yeah.
It looked like your car performed at, right there on top, ran big speed and things of that nature. I'm sure, everything in, your company's 65 years of background all went into that. If a guy wanted to reach out and get a converter, for their application, what's the lead time and things like that?
Yeah, so it helps because we make everything. We sell a lot of our kits and parts too to other guys, and we buy some parts from other guys. But converter wise for a bolt together, if we spec'd one out on Monday, it would ship on Wednesday or Thursday without a problem. Stator wise, we can pick one for you. Yeah, we really, my tuner told us what he wanted to go in the converter, and there's not a lot of rocket science. I'm pretty sure we all have the same stuff. Basically, I bet the whole class has anywhere from 1735 to an 1837 or some stator in there, and it just depends where you want it to flash with your core and your rear gear, and if you're running the big tires or the small tires. I mean, you know it as an engine builder, everybody needs something a little different. And if I gave my converter to Jason with his transmission, and if our low gears were the same or the cooler pressure is the same, it's the whole package. You can't just drop one part. It's like you can't just drop one piece of the package in and have it all of a sudden be magically fast. The converter and its efficiency up top, along with the fluid choice, along with the horsepower, brings the speed with it. But we
Sure.
we use the cars, all of them, for R&D and marketing. It's a lot of work. Obviously, I could be sitting on the beach instead of out there laying on the asphalt, but it's what we do. And we're out there with our customers, and if somebody needs something, hopefully I have it, and we can all kind of learn a little bit together for it. But transmission and converter wise, anybody that wants to buy anything, it's available. They want it out of the car at the end of the race, you can have it out of the car. It's not a bunch of magic.
Sure.
Gotcha. Everybody else all set? I mean, we wore JC out.
Good.
Well, that's what it's for. He gave us a lot of good information. Everybody's getting psyched, going into the season. I see that 70 days till race day, so we're just, trying to promote the class, trying to fill in some of this downtime with, guys like JC and spotlighting some of the products they make and things of that nature. And JC, what's the easiest way to get a hold of ATI or yourself if somebody wanted some of the products we spoke on?
Yeah, I mean, really just go on the website, shoot us an email. The guys get all those, anything that's out of their realm that they shoot to me, whether it's, sales at atiracing.com or marketing or info at ATI Racing, it all comes up. Then if there's anything specific for a 632, then guys usually get a hold of me through Facebook or Instagram or something. And I'm happy to chat about that and steer them in the right direction or wherever I can, because without the company, there's no 632 car. So that's what it's there for.
Chris Rainey doesn't want you to share any information, just letting you know.
Yeah, he's pretty tight-lipped about some of that stuff, but I'm like, I mean, I just post exactly what I send him on Instagram, and I block him so he can't see it. We're good. So his
I think he's a closet wannabe 632 racer, to be honest with you.
I think he likes it. I asked him about IHRA or PDRA. He's like, I got to be a PDRA to run that 632 car. I'm like, all right, let's see how it is. But right. Those guys do good. As long as they keep Emily at bay, we're in good shape. So
you're brave,
right?
Yeah.
Well, sure. Thanks for your time tonight. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to the beginning of the season.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for having me on, guys. Thanks for doing the show.
Right. We appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.